I had to have a conversation with him and saying, look, I forgive you for what you have done.
Sure.
Because I can't carry this.
Yeah.
You know, when you want to walk in a different path, you can't carry certain baggage.
Bro.
And
you have to drop it off, man.
I don't see her as my wife only. I cannot be selfish. I'm second in what she's been called to do in this world.
Sure.
So now if I'm restricting her finance to invest in what she's been called to do, therefore I'm violating a big principle that is beyond me.
I think the biggest cause to divorces are uncommunicated expectations, but the presenting issues are sex and money.
She'd ask me, what is it that you like? And I'm like, this is nice. Because now we always ask them, what works for you? What do you like? But we also forget to be catered for.
Sure. Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband podcast with me, Blaque Nubon. Here we are husbands who aren't where we want to be, but certainly are not where we used to be. We are imperfect, always failing forward, trying to know better so that we can do better. Hey, what's up? Welcome to That Husband podcast with me, Blaque Nubon. This is where husbands try to know better so that we can do better. Before we get into today's episode, we want to thank everybody who has been supporting us. If this is your very first time, man, please hit the subscription button, the notification bell so that you're updated on every single episode that we drop every Wednesday at 11:30. To our regulars, thank you so much for your support. If you're wondering how you can support us, well, in two ways. One, you can buy us coffee. The link is in our comment section. You can click on that, buy as many coffees as your heart desires so that we are energized to keep on making more of this content. Secondly, you can support us by booking me either as an MC or as a speaker for your next event. And you can do that at booking@blaquenubon.com. That's booking@blaquenubon.com. The husband that's sitting across the table from me today said I must not call him by his full government name. So we're gonna be friendly, right? Instead of being formal. Kevin Makhubo.
Yes.
How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Good, man. Good. Good seeing you.
Good seeing you too.
Yeah. And finally meeting you in person for the first time.
I have to say thank you to be part of this amazing movement.
Yeah.
My friend told me about it, sent me
Sure.
a link, and I'm like, wow, this exists.
Yeah.
And I was moved. So I looked at my calendar. I'm saying I have to do it this week or next week.
Sure.
So I'm glad to be here, and I'm happy
Thanks, brother.
to be featured here.
Yeah.
Name is Mbongiseni Kevin Makhubo.
Hey, you said the
first
whole
one
thing.
Is in brackets.
Sure.
So thank you to have me.
I appreciate it, brother. The first time we actually heard about you was from your best friend Utemba.
Oh, really?
And he was sitting where you sitting. And so we asked him to give us two names of guys who either inspired him to get married or stay married.
Okay.
And you were one of the names that he gave.
That's a very good best friend then.
Yeah. So in fact, we were compiling a resource to put your names in a book that we can give to young men who don't believe in the institute of marriage, or husbands who are walking alone, who don't have the benefit of brotherhood. And so we wanted to put, our guests, the names that they give us in that book so that we can, kind of encourage those guys and inspire them to say that marriage is possible, one. And there's guys like Kevin, who are not superheroes, but are husbands who are failing forward, who are trying to really honor the call of being a husband, So it's such an honor. It's a 360 moment that Temba was sitting there. He spoke about how you an inspiration, and now you here. And you had to inspire more husbands in person. So guys, Kevin is not a fictional character. He's a real human.
Yeah.
He's a real human, man. So before we get into our chat, bro, we still compiling a resource for second season. So the one I told you about was for first season. And so we asking our guests now to define what a husband is. So in your own words, what would you say a husband is?
All right. That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that you didn't give me this before to prepare. But simply, husband is two ways. All right.
Sure.
It's dying to self. All right. So I'm Christian. So that drives me. That's my core belief. That's where I get my own source, which is God. All right. So a husband is someone who will sacrifice, all right? Husband is someone who will love, okay?
Sure.
Two things in this.
Sure.
Typical example, I'll say. There was a situation where I found myself being uncomfortable about the situation. Let me call a spade a spade. So we were choosing a movie, okay?
Yeah.
She wanted to choose a different movie.
This is your wife, by the
This is
way.
my wife. All right.
Okay.
Shout out to my wife, Nombulelo Makhubo. She's been an amazing person. So yeah, ngikhuluma ngawe right now. All right. So as I was saying, it's two things.
Sure.
Sacrifice. We chose a movie. Choosing a movie. She was adamant she wanted to watch that movie.
Yeah.
But for me, it didn't sit well with me because number one, it's a bit boring.
Yeah.
And also it's crime and you have to investigate. So it's just my wife loves those things.
Yeah.
So I had a choice of saying, no, I don't want to.
Yeah.
But I could tell the excitement in her eyes that she wants to share this with me. So it's something that is close to her heart.
Yeah.
Even if I don't support it, I don't like it, I had to sacrifice and I had to honor it and see it as well. All right. So it ties with the second word of saying loving as well. So I had to find myself in a comfortable space. I had to love this movie so that I can support my wife. So I sat there because she will ask me questions.
How long was
what do
the
you
movie?
think of this? What do you think of that? So it's not just a movie for me.
Yeah.
It's just about those things. So for me, it's mostly that. It ties into that.
Sure.
It goes with finances. It goes with kids. It goes with career, sacrifice, and love as well. So
That's
I think,
cool, bro.
and I think also with love, it comes with protection, but I don't want to say a lot. I don't know. Is it just enough? Because
that's good,
for
man.
me, it's just those two things: sacrifice,
Yeah.
and also love.
Love, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Did you grow up with any of those examples of husbands who were sacrificially loving?
No.
Okay.
No. I think to answer your question, no. I
Yeah.
grew up with a single mother.
Okay.
So my story is my father was not around, but he was not dead. Right?
Yeah.
He just decided not to be part of my life. All
Yeah.
right. But for me, it made it to be, why can't I do something different in this? That's why God came in my heart and God aligned me with spiritual fathers.
Sure.
Still say it now, Pastor Sam. He is
Come on now.
he's my father. Even now I'm gonna see him when I go to Cape Town.
Yeah.
So he's still there in my life. So
Sure.
he saw that I was broken, and he showed me the love. And I don't know how, but I healed because I had so much anger and saying, look, I don't want anything to do with being a husband, anything to be
Sure.
someone who is responsible as a male in this society, because no one showed me. So why should I care in doing the same thing?
Sure.
But God said, look, your heart is broken, but allow me to change you in this. So to fast track is that for me deciding to get married, it's not because, yes, I had love, I had what? Number one, I had a purpose, all right? God told me when you get married, you don't get married for fun. You don't get married to have sex. You don't get married for love only. There is a purpose that is attached to it.
Sure.
Your purpose comes from where you grew up. You didn't have this.
Sure.
So you just listening to me getting married and doing it right, you will be helping a lot of people. And I didn't know even now it goes as far as inspiring timber.
Sure.
So now for me, not having a father, it actually made me to become a husband that I never had, that I want to give, that I want to be a father to as well.
Sure.
In terms of displaying these things. And the beauty about these things is that now God reveals to me as I continue to grow, because we grow as men. And when you grow, there's certain things that you would pick up that is not in line with what you were called for. So God says, look, Kevin, let's go back to the blueprint. You were not supposed to do this. So therefore, why are you doing it? And that time my wife knows. So one thing about my wife, she prays. She pick up things in the spirit.
Yeah.
The beauty about her is that she doesn't say, God told me to tell you, because she knows that I understand.
Sure.
So it's like fight. I would know that if I say this, we're going to fight, because why? God told me, do not talk about that. Do not touch it.
Sure.
So to answer your question, no, I never had that example, but it made me to be an opposite of that, to saying, let me be that person. Let me do my best. Let me be the best in the society. So that drives me even now.
Yeah, two things on that, man. I think the first one, you had said that you had made a decision that you don't want to be a husband.
Yes.
At what age did you make that decision? Was it a conscious decision, and you decided that I'm going to live from that? So I'm going to make it this. I don't want to be a husband, and therefore any other steps that I take in my journey in my life, are gonna be informed by that one decision, you know. So if you don't want to be a husband, you're gonna probably live like a player, you know. If you don't want to be a husband, you're probably not thinking about kids,
That's
and
true.
you know. So when was that, and did it really inform, how you lived after that?
So I think it happened when I was in what I was 18.
Sure.
And I rejected it.
Yeah.
You know, when people they tell you the beautiful rosy story.
Yeah.
For me, I will give you as it is because I realize that you learn more when someone has struggled.
Yeah.
And when you have struggled, you show their struggles. You give them more equipment to fight than a perfect story. Right? I'm not saying there's no perfect story, there is. But for me, I learned the most from the stories that people really struggle. So I rejected. When God told me, I said, I'm young, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to first year, and you're And I said that, I'm not going to do that. Why should I be responsible? So I'm going to be young and I'm going to be free and wild. Literally, I said that to myself. And then I went to church. You asked me, when did I start going to church? 2009. Rejected 2009 to live a proper Christian life.
Sure.
And then I started to do it in 2011. That's when God said, look, just you're losing time. There's certain things with
right.
There's certain things that you will do, you'll not come out of it. So just decide. So you know when God gives you a choice, left or right, and the beauty about him, he tells you what you'll find in the right, what you find in left. So he told me that if you do it in a right way, which is choosing the right path, this is what you'll be exposed to. Then he told me you'll get a good woman that will support your vision. I said, okay, I'm going. So to answer a question, I think I was 22. 22, that's when I decided I will marry.
Yeah.
But before then, I said, you know, slowly but surely, you told yourself that I'm going to be a player, I'm going to change, I'm not going to change. And I said, okay, yes, God, I want to be a husband, but when I'm 40.
Yeah.
And then literally I said that when I'm 40.
When I'm 40.
So I don't know why we do this as human beings. We give a conditional yes. Say yes only if. And I said yes only if. And then God allowed me to do my life. And then I met my wife and I'm like, this 40 is going to change very quick. I didn't expect this. And then that's what I'm saying, you know, the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord. So not to be too long.
That's great. But that's a podcast, bro. We're just chatting.
But yeah, right. So I just, when I was 22 and then along the lines, it was refined. So it was refined based on the seasons of my life. So there was a season of saying, let's be serious and let's focus on what God told you about. You need to change where you come from. And I was the first one to get married at home. It's the first one.
So you're the firstborn?
Last born, actually. I'm the last born. So and you know, my sister would say that, and I'd be very offended. I said, look, why does she say this? Because I'm just listening to what God is telling me.
Come on now.
So I was the first one to graduate from varsity, first one to be married, and first one to have a child in marriage, and to continue to have another second child in marriage as well. So for me, I see it as someone who's just creating a path. And
that's great, bro.
And I even said to my wife is that this life that God has chose for me, it's not going to be a glamorous life. All right. Favorite character in the Bible is Solomon. So when you look at Solomon and David, David was fighting. So his life, his fight, his wars, whatnot. And then God told me, he said, this is your life. You are David in this. And then if you don't obey me, all right, yes, I will forgive you this grace, all right. But what you didn't do, it will affect your next generation. So now the pain came when I thought about my kids, when I thought about what could have my father done for me not to be a David? I could have been a Solomon building temples. But here am I now. So that pain for me, it's a generational pain that I can't pass it on. So the way the world has rejected us in a space of I don't care about anyone else. I'm going to think about myself. It's my life. It's not only your life, actually. There's also kids that are coming. So for me, I had to obey only for that. And even God refined it last year. We went to camp, church camp. We do go to church camp once a year. God told me, said, this is what I told you. So stick to this path. And if you don't stick to this path, yes, you will not see the results in your lifetime. I will give you grace. I'll forgive you. But with your kids, they'll have to go through the same pain that you're going through. So do you want that for your kids? And I'm like, yeah,
Yeah. So
and it touched me to the point that you don't need any reprimand from anyone. It just speaks to
that
you.
one, man. Yeah.
So yeah,
Humbles
that's
you.
where that's what drives me the most. So.
You, at age 17, you reconciled with your dad. Or he came back in your life.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
So how it happened is that I was upset. All
Sure.
right. And me being upset. So how we express pain as men, it depends on how you are in your heart. The soft man. All right. So for me, I used to battle with this where why am I chilled? He said he's used that way. I'm a chilled man. I grew up with a mother. So my mother shows me softness and whatnot. So with softness for me, I had no aggression. All right. But with softness, it comes with tenderness. It comes with being a player. It comes with talking to ladies in a nice way where things make sense to you. So two ways how we express pain with men. There's aggression. So fight it with angry, with fist and road rage, and then we have players. All right. So those are bleeding men out there that are soft, that are saying, I can get any lady. So it's just validation of ticking. Yes, I can get the lady.
It's crazy, man.
Because why? I'm in pain. I need to fill this void.
Yeah.
So yes, when you spoke about the path in this, yes, I did the first part, being a player, because why? It was easy.
Sure.
It came naturally for me.
Yeah.
So then God showed me is that you're actually bleeding in people around you.
Oh.
And even if yes, your career does look like it's set, it's straight, but you're not just Kevin with a career.
Yeah.
You need to be Kevin with having a heart, Kevin who can potentially be a husband and a father too as well. So when my father came, he came because he saw I had good marks. So I was accepted at UP. So he came because it was looking greener. And for me, I'm not shy to say
where
this.
Where was he?
He would come and visit. I don't know, maybe he was scouting and seeing is it ripe or not. And for me, I was so angry to the point that I think there's a time I was in university, I didn't want to go home because he was back. So he reconciled with my mother. He forgave. My mother forgave him, did everything else. Then my mother accepted him back at home. Sorry about that. And then for me, I was bitter. My sister was livid. My sister even moved out of the house. So for me, I was like, hey, at least I'm at varsity. That's when I was doing my most varsity. And then God introduced me to Pastor Sam. I don't know how or when. When people pray. He came to me, he said, you are my son. I'm like, I don't know you. And then he spoke things that made me to be more attracted to him. And then one morning, God said, go talk to your father and go forgive him and tell him why you're forgiving him. And I was like, Angeke. So I have a conversation with God. I was like, when you do that, God doesn't fight. That's when you know he knows all, man. We just nothing to him.
Sure.
So he allowed me to be stubborn, and then there was a prompting in my heart. Holy Spirit said, don't fight the things that I'm creating for you to be easy. So go and talk to your father. I remember that conversation. To answer your question, is that I was 23.
Sure.
That was when God told me you want to be a husband. And then God started to fix the path in my life, saying, for you to fix this, it will help you, it will free you. Because if you don't fix this, trust me, even if you'd meet a good woman, even if you meet, everything else will be perfect, but will be broken inside.
You'll carry this into your marriage.
Yes, you'll carry it in marriage. You'll bleed on your wife. You'll bleed on your kids. You'll bleed on everything. And I've seen that where I'd sit in a consulting room and I'm looking at this man who's 50-year-old who is bleeding from a pain that he was 18 years old. So for me, I'm grateful, and I'm grateful to God that God showed me the pains that could affect me. All right. So then I went to my father and I said that I want to talk to you. So my father he doesn't like confronting. He will never do that. So I forced him. I was alone with him. I said, look, whatever you did, whatever the reason was I do not need to know. All right. I respect you as my father, and I'm here to say I forgive you for what you have done. And I told him the pain. I forgive you for not being around. I forgive you because I can't fix a car now because you are not there. I can't have that manly conversation because there's a gap. And I can't have a nice building relationship with an opposite sex without seeing them as an object because you never taught me that. So, and I said, I'm not forgiving you because of you. I'm
Sure.
forgiving you because of me and because of what I need to do and go. And you know what he said? Nothing. He looked at me.
Yeah.
God told me that even if you get nothing, it's not about him, it's about you.
How did that not break you?
Because God prepared me.
Sure.
Because God prepared my heart and saying, when you say this, it is mostly about you. You need him, but you don't need to respond. He doesn't need to respond.
Yeah, sure.
Then I don't know when somehow he said, thank you, son.
Sure.
Random. And you know, when you're saying, okay, let's go, we're going to buy clothes and whatnot, he just said, thank you, son. And I realized that thank you, son is for that.
It's for that thing.
And that for me, from that moment on, I was free and I forgave him. And he did pass on. I think I didn't spend a lot of time with him. After we fixed my life, I think I would say 5 years in this. And when he passed on, my wife thought I would break down, I'll be miserable. And God prepared my heart. He said, look, there's certain things that I will tell you because I know your heart, you'll be miserable. So I tell you in advance.
Sure.
But it's not for everyone, it's for you.
Yeah.
So God prepared me, said, look, something's going to happen to your father. I said, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I said, that one is a painful one. So I spent time, I was there with him, I loved him. I told him I love him.
Was he sick before that or?
It was, I think.
Just happened?
It happened, I think, a year before he was sick.
Okay.
So, and then when he was sick, then I knew it. I'm like, yeah.
Okay.
And I had to prepare my mother too as well. So to cover your story and bring it back home is that I had to have a conversation with him and saying, look, I forgive you for what you have done.
Sure.
Because I can't carry this. Yeah. You know, when you want to walk in a different path, you can't carry certain baggage.
Bro. And you have to drop it off, man.
And it hit me. And I was ready to be married at that time. I was like, after telling him that, and then I was like, I was in there. I might have rejected God, but he knows better.
Yeah.
And us as human beings, the first thing we use our emotions. We use, I don't feel comfortable. They don't want to do it. Sure. So we are restricted with that. So for me, I was like, maybe let me try this obeying thing. I call it obeying thing because it's not an easy thing.
It's not, no.
So
it's not.
I spoke to him and then it freed me. And till this day, I don't have any issues. My wife thinks I will retaliate and do strange things when my father did because I heard now that my father was married with a different lady. So I don't know what happened there. It disappeared. And my biggest cry was, please tell me your struggles.
Sure.
Please tell me your battle so that I know,
yeah.
Which this is my Nazarite law because it comes from you. I must not touch the dead animal. So if that's the case, then therefore let it continue. But I didn't have this.
Sure.
But I had God, I had spiritual fathers, I had friends, I had people. So there's never a gap out there. So
yeah. That's great. Thanks for sharing that, brother. I truly appreciate it. And I think it is, truly inspiring. I have my, own library of stories when it comes to my lack of relationship with my father. And I've shared that quite a lot here. But as you were speaking, the importance of having spiritual fathers, friends, you and Temba clearly have a very close relationship. We do. I don't know how you guys coordinated this, but when you had your first kiss with your wife, Umtimbane got that drive.
Yes, I like that. Yeah, I like that you shared that story. Yeah, so the story about that. So first track, I met my wife and I told myself, I'm like, where does she come from? And at that time, I've been in church. I don't know for how many years, but I never saw her. And I even asked her, like, did you meet me by chance or anything? I said, no. So fast tracking that, okay, backtrack a bit, is that how we met? Is that, I don't know, there will be a story about that.
Yeah, sure.
But so how we met is okay, maybe let me answer the story of a kiss. Is that, so Temba was around and then I knew that I have to kiss this lady. So I've been celibate for like 5 years. I haven't kissed anyone. So can you imagine, it's a dry season. I don't even know how to. I'm doubting myself. And
how long had you been dating at that point?
So we were dating for 2 years. Let me backtrack. So there's a time where, so the first lady that I had an eye on was not my wife. All right, someone in church I liked and didn't happen. Didn't the way it wanted. The beauty. One thing I can say is that God still guided me. I said, look, maybe not yet, because having a spiritual father and having a relationship with God is that I went first to talk to Pastor Sam. That's my spiritual father. I told him, I said, I met a lady I want to marry. He said, okay, give me 5 points. Literally 5 points why you want to marry this lady. I sent the 5 points. He said, okay. I know Pastor Sam, he doesn't say okay when he's happy.
Yeah.
He gives you, yes, my son, I'm happy or whatnot. So he gives me more information. So I knew something was a bit off.
Okay.
I went to God. I got, okay, I want to marry this lady.
Yeah.
God said, okay, pray and fast.
Yeah.
Fasted for 6 years. Not for 6 months. Nothing. Fasted for a year. Nothing.
Yeah.
God kept quiet. And I said, God, if you don't speak, and God said, I don't operate in that way.
Sure.
So when are you seeing now? And then fast track, she left because she was not patient enough.
Yeah.
Then God said, this is the reason why it couldn't be your wife. What you called for your purpose. Remember, I told you, God told me that you're getting married for a purpose. So you having this lady, you will deviate to your purpose.
Sure.
And the sad thing about that is that you will never see it. So it breaks my heart in seeing men that they had a purpose and then they forget it, completely forget it.
Yeah.
Hence, that's why I asked myself, what happened to Solomon, King Solomon?
Yeah.
After he had so much favor and grace from God and riches, he completely forgot himself and what he was called for. So God protected me from that. All right.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what, God, I'm hurt. I just want to heal. I had that. So I went to church camp. So church camp, I see this lady, I'm like, she's actually beautiful. But I'm like, you know what? You know when you're hating, you don't want to entertain other stuff. I'm that guy. When I'm hating, give me time to heal.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now when she told me, I asked her, she saw her husband there.
Yeah.
And
At
then
the camp.
At the camp.
Come on.
Because she used to date men from outside church.
Yeah.
And then God told her that your life needs to change. You must find someone from church.
Sure.
There. And then she said, but God, gents from church, they're a bit dry, they're a bit boring. They don't have personality. And I'm not sure about career-wise. So not to speak bad about church guys. But that time, the pool was small.
Sure.
And then she saw me and then she's like, and then God told her, this is your husband. When she told me, and I'm like, okay, when you were told from the get-go. So I was attracted to her. First track, we went on a date, first date. And then I'm like, no, man, this is the one. So, and then we went on the first date. And then she told me straight, she says, look, Kevin, I like you. And I want to see where this is taking us. And I want to date you. All right. She didn't ask me out, but she said, look, I know you need to go to pray to God.
Sure.
And hear this, I know you need to. Sure. They didn't tell her about that. I know you need to go to pray to God about this. And I was like, hey, this is the one. This one. How does she know?
Yes.
Because when I have PTSD of going to pray, what if it's going to be 6 months and 6 years? So, and I'm like, that's fine. So I prayed, all right, 6 months, nothing. And the beauty about this, the opposite happened.
Yeah.
The love was growing from her side and love was growing from my side. But more from her side, where she said, look, I know you're praying, but I'm going to tell you this, and I don't want you to change your decision. I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life with you. And I said, and she said, even if you don't agree to this, it's fine. I'll take my L. God will kill me. Yeah. And I said to God, this one, she's brave. Why? What reassurance does she have? Yeah. And then God kept quiet because God doesn't want me to be biased about what she's telling me. So I prayed, then God revealed to me, said, this is the one. Went back to my spiritual father. Yeah. And then I said, I'm thinking about this lady. Before this 5 points, he said, yes, I'm happy. What? And I'm like, how?
You didn't ask for 5 points.
Yes, how? And then I said, look, son, I knew the first one was not for you, but I can't come in. I'm not your God. I can guide you and lead you, but I'm not your God. Sure. This one I can say, go for it. You have my blessing before you even start dating him. So we were dating and we had our first kiss, but we were uncomfortable because we are passionate people. She was also celibate for quite some time. I think 3-4 years for herself. Sure. And we were young and we don't want to lie to ourselves. If we touch each other, things
go off.
On the guards, they go down. So we stopped the kissing and then fast track to the story. Our first kiss, proper, clear. You know when God says yes, you can go ahead. So Temba was driving at the back. We were sitting at the back. So I don't know why. Temba picked it up, says, let me drive around. So we played nice music. He changed the genre of the music. I'm like, I want to know. It's a good friend, this one. So we leaned in, kissed, and then I was like, you know what? This is my wife, man. But I kept it to myself. And I said, we are dating now, but let's see how it goes. So yes,
Sure.
Temba was there, and Temba was told about the journey, and he was also happy about it as well.
Good, man.
And he was excited. And
Yeah.
when I told him Temba, that
Yeah.
this is a person that I'll marry,
Yeah.
then he said, go ahead. So everyone was saying, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah.
I didn't have to explain myself.
Yeah.
So my story of, or the moral of my story is that
Yeah.
if it's for you,
Yeah.
you will not fight
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But then again, you
It'll
have to fight
happen.
for it
Yeah.
again if it's someone that
Sure.
is not aligned with your purpose.
Ish. Yeah.
So what drive me is marrying this person, number one, for a purpose.
Yeah. Come
Number
on,
two,
man.
for love.
Sure.
So yeah.
That's great, brother. Where I was going with that story was the importance of having brothers.
Yeah.
So Temba clearly has been there. Pastor Sammy has been there.
Yeah, that's true.
For guys who are watching this, how vital is it for us to have a group of men, that we can pour into, that can pour into us, men that we can open up to, and clearly it was vital for you and important, especially in your lead up to becoming a husband. You needed, stronger male voices around you. And by stronger, I mean they were praying men,
That's true.
They were men who had God's heart for you, so how important is that, and how has that played out in your own life, even now as a husband? Yeah.
I think it's very important because number one, it helps you to remember why you do certain things. I'll make an example, but I also have other friends that know Temba as well. As that there's a friend who I grew up with the church, and I met him at church.
Sure.
And then we met through Pastor Sam. He's also same close with Pastor Sam. So that helped me to see myself before I had anything.
Sure.
I had house, a car, nothing. All right. So sometimes when God blesses you, you tend to forget yourself. I don't know how, but it does happen. So the importance of having a brother and someone that will tell you the truth, they will remind you of who you are when you were naked and saying, but Kevin, you never used to do this.
Sure.
You never used to have this. The beauty about that is that there's no judgment. They want to understand your thinking and saying, why are you doing this? Versus when I have it with my wife. All right. I can have certain conversation with my wife, but when the core values about me are changing, all right, I need to go back to number one, God. God can speak. God can tell you. And you can reject him. And if he does reject you, it will come in a different form / brotherhood, a friend, and a mentor as well. Is that that's the importance of it, is that it's a channel of how God will speak to you. All right. Because we don't listen as people. We tend to be selective. Yes, we don't. We tend to be selective about how we listen. How we can test that out with adverts. If someone calls you, did you know you can get this? Maybe F&B is offering you this. If you get an email, it's different. If you get someone that comes and talk to you directly, it hits different.
Sure.
So now my friend tells me the same thing that God told me, but it's packaged in a friend. It's packaged in love. It's packaged in compassion. I will listen to it. And that time is actually being used by God.
Sure.
So he tells me, Kevin, you are changing yourself. Realign yourself. Typical example, last year, I think late last year. So also what I'm doing, I'm studying as well. Studying is interesting. Also with Temba as well. I'm also studying. I'm doing my second year. I'm just mentioned it. I'm doing my second MBA in healthcare leadership. What has that done to me is that it has demanded a lot from me to the point that I gave out. But I don't receive much from the brotherhood.
Sure.
My wife is giving out to the point that she's saying, but I'm giving too much, the more than I should be doing. But it will take maturity for a lady to tell you that in a way that you can understand. So for that, I do respect that and saying, I'm feeling tanks that I'm not supposed to feel. So go back to God, go back to your friend. So I found myself having a chat with Temba. I had a long conversation. I said, Temba, I don't know why it's so strange in this world where we were called to do certain things. When we go for it, we lose ourselves.
Sure.
Why is that the case?
Sure.
Then why don't you just sit and do nothing? And then he answered me, he said, sit and do nothing, and trust me, you'll be more frustrated. But also, this tells you that you can't do anything alone. This lone wolf thing that we carry, us as men, no, I'm fine alone with this. It destroys us. And it pains me more because I'm seeing, because my wife is more about the ladies, where there's conferences. If I can count, they go to at least 12 conferences. Tina, we go to one conference in a year.
If you're lucky.
If I'm
If
lucky,
there's a
and
men's
if there
breakfast
was
somewhere.
yes, and we have to be motivated. We have to be promised certain things. So the importance of having brotherhood is that you know where you come from,
Sure.
and you know where you are currently, and you'll know where you're going, because if you know all those 3 points, you will never go astray. And we need to have this because we are called for a purpose in this world, not to make money, not to have kids, not to have fun. Yes, fun is important, because I always ask myself is that if I don't wake up today, will there be a difference in this world? And if the answer it's a yes, then I'm in the right track. But if the answer it's a no, Kevin didn't wake up, no one noticed.
Yeah, fine.
I'm gonna challenge you is that then go find out your purpose, and how you find out your purpose in God as well. Is that then that's a big trouble. It's an issue. We have bystanders.
Sure.
We have people that are watching people doing life, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
That's why.
No, totally, man. Yeah,
For
that's great,
alignment.
brother. No, that's good, man. I've enjoyed the benefit of brotherhood, for many years, and just having close friends that I could, completely be open, and maybe even use crass language, be completely naked with.
That's true.
Like proper naked with. They know, man. I always say that there's friends of mine. I'd be destroyed. That's how transparent I am with them, and for the sake of not keeping some thoughts in my head, in my heart, because then they would fester and take root, and then I would start living from those beliefs. So I'm like, man, sharing with brothers also enables me to say, hey, Chance, my thought patterns are, tainted in this way, or I'm thinking about being single too much, right? And really just take that stuff out, and we'd pray together, that advise me, guide me, and it would really just put me at a better place, not just for myself, but obviously for my wife, and for my kids. So it is important, man. I don't know how much I could stress that, that we should have a band of brothers around us at all times, because we can't do this thing alone. You've been walking with your wife for 6 years now.
For 6 years.
Or married, but you dated for 2 years before that.
I dated for 2 years.
Yeah. How has it been?
It's been, I call it a movie, and you select. But also just before the marriage is that I don't know why or how, but I'm only understanding now why God guides me in a certain way, why God speaks to me in a certain way. Is that when I met my wife, all right, we were supposed to date for a year. And God said, next year around this time, I must propose. You know what I did? I looked at my pocket, I looked at my situation, I looked at everything else around. And then now I'm like, I'm like. Then I asked myself, I'm saying I'm a Christian.
Sure.
I have faith.
Sure.
So faith says, you do not have evidence of this, but you have hope.
Sure.
But you want to have it.
Sure.
So therefore, I didn't apply my faith. I said, nah, God, nah, it's too soon. Nangapa, God selected a woman that prays, that understands the spiritual language. She knew as well that I'm supposed to be married. All right. So before we started dating, she told me that I know I'm supposed to be married at 25.
Yeah.
Had I obeyed, it would have been 25 on the dot.
Sure.
But we still got married 25 with some few months extra change. So technically we did obey, but it was my fault. All right. So
Wednesday, Kevin.
I just said no. I said I'm not gonna be married. I said, what, 25?
Yeah.
No ways. I need to at least to have some comfortability in this, some money. I just wanted to have more money. I don't want to bring someone in the struggles. And then God says, I will order you and I will guide you in the path you need to take. It's my favorite scripture. And somehow I just forgot about that. So sorry about this. So that's why for me, it's always nicer to know who you are and where you come from.
Yeah.
So had I remembered that time, I would have obeyed that. But this grace and this beauty about this, God said, look, it's fine. It's not the end. All right. So I think it was 25 and also 11 months. So we're not 26 as yet.
Yeah.
So we dated for 2 years.
Are you guys the same age?
Same age. Dated for 2 years.
It's good.
All right. And we after dating for 2 years, we've been married for 6 years. So
6 years now,
she's
yeah.
been in my life for 8 years now.
Sure.
Actually, come to think of it.
Solid, bro.
But the strange thing is that she's been at church for forever.
Sure.
Yeah, I call her the when someone says the first brick at church,
Mm,
she was that. She grew up from children's church and growing up and whatnot.
Yeah.
So she's always been at church.
Yeah.
So she's always been around my life more than 10
Sure.
years, but I never saw her.
Okay.
I didn't even notice
Yeah,
nothing at
sure.
all. So we've been walking that chain.
Sure.
Coming back to your story, it's how has it been 6 years?
Yeah.
It's been an overview. It's been a beautiful journey. It's been an amazing journey. It's been a self-growing journey, right? I'm saying self because people, they say, yo, marriage is it's flames. It is flames, all right? It's flames because you are being tuned into something different.
man.
You constantly grow in this, and
Come
your partner is there to help you grow,
Yeah.
and you also do the same with her, vice versa. All right. Now, if you're stubborn, if you don't want to grow, if you don't want to be better, marriage will not work for you.
Yeah.
And you can try it, yes, fine. But my advice is that be married, but have a teachable spirit somewhere, somehow. And even now, I'm still learning in this. And I looked at myself and my life. Had I been single, I don't think I would understand certain things the way I do understand.
Sure.
I don't think I'd understand patience. I don't think I'd understand self-control. I don't think I'd understand how to control my emotions, how to think outside the box, where you need to have a solution with this at the point. So for me, it's been a beautiful journey where I'm growing with my best friend. I call it my best friend. And I said to her, look, dude, you're more of my best friend than my wife. And it's a beautiful thing about that.
Yeah.
So if you're my wife, it's just the ticking of a box with this.
Sure.
And also as well, I'm saying it's a movie because if you choose to decide to put a movie of action, you will get action.
Actually.
And the sad thing about it's not a sad thing, is that God will always tell me whenever it's going to be a big fight.
Sure.
And God says, Kevin, I told you about how my daughter is wired, how she processes things, how she does these things. So these things I was told when I was praying and fasting about her. So God told me, he said, look, you can marry her,
Sure.
but this is what you'll get.
Sure.
She will not tell you these things. You will experience it. Even now, things that God told me then, I'm seeing now, I'm like, actually, yes, this thing.
Yeah.
And then God said, look, it's not a bad thing. It's just how she is.
Sure.
She's still dealing with that.
Yeah.
For me to give her grace, you must understand this.
Yeah.
Because you not having grace, it means that I'm not answering her because she wants to fix these aspects about herself. So now I had a blueprint about her.
Sure.
So now it helped me to navigate. Now as Mamela as a band, all right, we're stubborn, we do our own things.
Sure.
So God tells me is that if you talk about this, you will fight.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but God, this needs to be addressed.
It has to. Yeah.
I cannot sleep.
Yeah.
Therefore, I must speak.
Yeah.
And then I'll speak my heart, and then it goes to the left, and it breaks my heart. And I've told my wife is that she always asks me why, whenever we are not in a good space, you tend to think a lot. I'm thinking about the things that I could have done better. Because I know better. Sure. And she does not know this because I know I should have chose this for myself, but I didn't. I did my own things.
Sure.
So if I want to choose a rom-com, if I want to choose romance, it's a choice. You decide.
That's good, bro.
And when someone says you are ahead, you literally are ahead in changing, or I don't know, tuning the environment around the house. If you are sour, if you are moody, you're stressed, it changes the whole environment. And with kids, they sense it. So now it goes back to my point. What is it to be a husband?
Yeah.
You must laugh. And also you must sacrifice.
Sure.
So you're upset at work, they made you to be upset. You must sacrifice those things and drop it at the door. It's not easy, but you must choose to decide and saying, I'm choosing to be a husband now, not to be a frustrated employee, right? Or an employee, wherever you are.
Yeah.
So
Sure, that's dope, man. That's such a vital thing for a lot of guys to realize. I think whenever we speak about husbands being providers, I always say, man, you don't just provide financially, but you provide the spiritual culture, spiritual climate. You provide, the emotional culture, emotional climate of your family. You're not just a thermometer to determine what temperature's in the house, but I think, what's the one that changes the temperature? Is it a barometer? Anyway, there's a there's a thermometer. It monitors the temperature, but there's one that changes the temperature in the thermostat. Yeah, so I'm like, that's what we are.
That's
Right?
true.
It's we thermostats. We change the temperature in the room, and most husbands and men need to realize that about themselves. That you're not just you're just not an ATM card. You're not a credit card only. You're supposed to be providing. But man, God has given you a range of provision. And so if you're not aware of that, man, it's gonna limit how you show up as a husband. But it's also gonna make your children, your wife, lose out on all the other things that you can actually provide.
That's true.
You're speaking about your wife being known by God and how God has wired her.
Yeah.
There was a video on her channel where you described her in 3 S's that I'd like you to elaborate on. You described her that before you saw her, or before you met her, or dated her rather, you saw her Instagram and you were like, here, I'm going to fall here.
That's true.
This is going to be a stumblation. So, right? But you described her as sexy, strong, and strict.
Yeah.
Care to open those categories?
Actually, I remember now I'm saying that, which is good. All right. Let's start with the strict one.
Yeah.
So I actually understood it now.
Sure.
So there's this cards, we call them conversation cards.
Yeah.
So you know those ones?
Yeah, those things get you into trouble, man.
So I actually asked her, why are you strict?
Yeah.
And she said, I do not have time to play around and waste people's resources and waste people's money and also to disappoint people. And even when we go to parties, we're always the first one. Like we always, and I was upset. I'm like, why? First, you must honor that. And then I said to myself, then she is selfless. Her strictness comes from being like selfless. Like she would fight me to say, look, let's leave early. And I said to her, but if it's inconveniencing us, I said, yes, I understand that. That's why I come in saying, let it not be too strict.
Sure.
And also the strictness helps in terms of aligning as well. Well, I'll say, no, maybe let's make an example. I'm supposed to come at home at like maybe at 3. Not that we have strict time. And then I come at like 3:05. For me, I always say, nah, it's just 5 minutes.
5 minutes, yeah.
It's nothing. I said, no, it's the principle. Sure. So when she says it's a principle, that's when it's a deep conversation. I said, what do you mean? I said, it's a principle of if you can do 5 minutes now being late, what about other things that I'm not aware, that I can't see? So if I'm allowing you to violate this principle, therefore you can apply it everywhere else in your life. And I said, yeah, this one is definitely for me because when I'm the chilled one, I don't mind. And it also helps with our kids now because we know we have a strict one that says, yes, do this.
Yes.
And we have the nice tender one that gives you the proper reasoning why we're doing this. So it helps and it balances. All right. She's quite strong. She's quite strong in terms of her personality. All right. She is not swayed. She is not convinced. If she doesn't like something, she doesn't like it. And she'll tell you straight. But she's also considerate as well.
Sure.
And saying, if I don't like this, maybe let me consider someone else. Maybe let's choose something different instead of me doing it as well. And also strong, it doesn't mean in terms of the character as well as that strong in terms of the passion. All right. And I told her that what made me to be attracted to you is that the passion that you have from God. We were at church camp when she prayed and I looked at her and she was kneeling down and crying. And I'm like, yo, if you can do this and spend and pour out to God like this, therefore, nothing will actually restrict in terms of what we need to do spiritual as well.
Sure.
So she has a strong character where she strongly pursues what she's been called for.
Sure.
And she does not back down. Like yesterday, I found in writing down in notes about what she needs to do the rest of the year.
Sure.
And for me, if I had to be married to someone that does not do that, I will be very disturbed because now I'm purpose driven.
Sure.
God gave me one purpose. He opens as I continue to walk. It's like getting equipment and saying, look, you need this in your next phase. So she was part of the equipment that I needed to have. Not as in like making as an object, but I needed this type of woman that is strong. Because if she's strong and I'm leading in a certain level, I cannot have a wishy-washy wife. I would say, no, therefore, you can steal money and it's allowed. She will never allow that.
Yeah.
Sexiness.
Sure.
Whenever she wakes up, whenever whenever she talks, it's natural. Even if I'm not there, even if I'm away, sometimes we do video calls, sometimes I'd work from far.
Yeah.
She comes naturally from that.
Sure.
And I come from a church where I was celibate for 5 years. I said, I'm funu go, I'm funu ntomazana, I'm funu go. Even the 5% of your thigh, because I have passion with this as well. So I said to myself, I looked at an Insta and I'm like, maybe I'm going to go right, because
are you sure
you want me to be a candidate of the ones that will fall? And I said, no, you'll be fine with this. So she brings that sexiness in how she is, and it's not only just physically. She brings the emotional sexiness. All right, I'll explain that. Emotional sexiness. She will say, "What do you think of this? Why do you feel certain way when someone asks you this? Why do you become excited? Why, when you explain in details? You can pick up, I explain in details." And I said, that's how I'm wired. And I break things down and I can bring it all together. That's why it tells you about my career as well. So she understood why I chose this career. So if she understands that, therefore, if I decide to say today or tomorrow I'm going to be an accountant, she will say, you're not wired for that. You can't do that. Even now with this, what I'm studying now, it opens up so much doors that I can do. She will allow me to be excited with those things. And then she brings it back home and bringing that emotional sexiness. I'm saying, look, you can't do that. She stimulates me emotionally. She says, you can't do that. And then I ask her, now, why do you say that? Because you're not wired like that. You'll be frustrated. You can be good at it, but you'll not be happy. So yeah.
That's great, man. You're putting pressure on a lot of husbands, guys. We need 3 categories to describe our wives. Every day you wake up, you must say you are this and this and that. Right?
Yeah, that's true.
Right? No, that's dope, bro. And I'm glad I set it up as sexy, strong, strict, and you went the opposite way, which is perfect because it leads me to it's a good segue. Again, all the stuff is on the internet, so it's your fault. Right?
Yeah, no.
But you guys seem to be very open and as open as you can be, and you allow yourselves to be transparent about just the passion in your bedroom.
That's true.
You guys had an encounter with each other in passion at the parking lot of a China mall.
Yes, I like that. Nah, dude, you like that.
So maybe walk us through, just the importance of being spontaneous.
That's true.
You've been married 6 years. I've been married 11 years. Some people would describe that as being an achievement, and to some extent it is.
That's true.
But I look at where I believe you also want to go, which is till death. Or till Jesus returns.
That's true.
And so then when I think of 6, I think of 11. I'm like, we're just starting out, And part of what keeps this thing growing is obviously sex and the passion with that. But I think coupled with that is just learning how to be spontaneous.
That's true.
Not to be irresponsible. You have 2 kids. I have a kid. We need to safeguard our families. We need to safeguard our money. But man, there is room for being spontaneous.
That's true.
So where does spontaneity enter in the sex?
This.
I
like
and why these guys at China Mall when it's raining?
No.
You decide.
I like the details that you did. No, it was.
Yo, Beans and Bonds, the 4th edition, man. It's incredible that we are saying number 4. The first 3 have been possible because of you, man. You pulled through, you invited people, you made sure that you filled the room. Our guests of honor truly blessed us with the gems that they dropped, man. I enjoyed hosting, and shout outs to all our artists who performed and encouraged us and inspired us with their art. We are on the 4th one. When is this one happening? The 31st of May, right here at Christchurch Midrand. Doors open at 9:30. Event starts at 10 and we finish at 1. So make sure that you are pulling through. Invite anybody. Beans and Bonds is for everybody who believes in healthy marriages and truly wants to celebrate husbands becoming better husbands. All right, so make sure that you are pulling through for this one. It's going to be super, super incredible. What is the theme for this one that's coming up in May? Let me tell you, man, doing accountability the right way. You've probably heard the word so many times. Social media has abused it, but we want to speak about what true accountability looks like, not just for us as husbands, but for women, for wives, for those who believe in the institute of marriage. How can we keep each other accountable and how we behave in light of what marriage is and what a good and healthy marriage is supposed to be, right? So pull through for that, man. Our guest of honor, my brother, Seta Mabula, he's going to be there. You know, he's a straight shooter. You've seen him in season 1. If you follow him on Instagram, you know that his heart and aim is to keep men truly accountable and walking in the straight and narrow. So we want to hear what he has to say. And who's going to be our artist? My sister, the one and only prolific, profound, pronounced, professional poet, Puno Selesho. She's going to be here truly dropping some amazing pieces and we're going to be encouraged and inspired. So make sure that you are pulling through for this one. Beans and Bonds, 4th edition, 31st of May, Christchurch, Midrand. Hoppers 9, doors open, 10 o'clock. We start 1, we'll finish. All right, pull through. See you then. All right.
This.
I
I like.
and why these guys at China Mall when it's raining?
Yeah, no.
You decide.
I like the
What's that
details
now?
that you did. No, it was. So I like the fact that you brought it up. I didn't know, maybe it's a safe space to say it, but it's for us. It's already out there, so it's not something new.
Sure.
So to start with your question, and I'll add more meat to it. Is that it's quite important with the fact that you are with this person, right? It's one person you're gonna have sex with.
Yeah.
So make it be worth it. Make it fun. And
sure.
People they only do.
We can stop there, bro.
Yeah.
This is the one person you're gonna have sex with. Make
entire
it
life.
fun. Make it worthwhile.
Make it worthwhile.
Shucks.
And
come on.
And we're creative as human
Come
beings.
on,
and one thing about us, and also me, when I went to God, said I want a woman. God said, have a Christian woman, so that when you add things that are outside your values, then you will not do it. So all those other stuff we don't add. It's only us. All right.
Yeah.
So that's our rule. That's our law. That's what drives us. All right. So the reason why I use the Nazarite law is because it's unique to us. But it might not be unique to other people because how we wired and what God wants to do in us and through us as well. So now being spontaneous is very important because you must keep the fire going, right? And number 2 as well is that it makes you, I don't know, man, it makes you fresh. It makes you healthy. It makes you come alive. You can see my face is alive now. That's my passion right there. Is that I don't know how every man at church, when they're going to get married, they invite me to talk about sex. So I can go deep in details about it.
No, I see why you and Temba.
Yes, so Temba's having that too as well. To the details, to the location of certain things that will take you there and see. So now, China Mall, we were sitting there and then we were like, for me, I'm always ready. You know us, man, we're forever ready, right?
Yep.
And then she says, I'm feeling a bit frisky. I'm like, say no more. And then goes back to the sexy part.
Yeah.
And I looked at it, I'm like, dude, you've been sexy since the morning. So I just add more spice so that it doesn't end in the air. It must be a destination, which is sex. And I was like, you actually look sexy. Yeah. And I was like, yes. And I said, probably we might look sexy more when we half naked. And I said, do you want to do it? I was like, let's find a parking spot. Yeah. Already those windows are misty. Yeah. So it's safe.
Because it was raining.
It's raining. So you parked. And then she didn't ask, are you sure what? Because she can be a bit shy. And then straightforward, I'm like, this is lovely. And I gave her a high five. I'm like, I'm so proud of you for doing this for us. So now it goes back to the point of make it worthwhile.
Come
all right?
on, bro.
And making it worthwhile at what it means for us men to have sex. All right. What it means for us men to have sex, it means you open up creativity. All right. You open up spontaneous. You are pouring in a space that you can't even understand. Sure. And if you're telling us we're tired, maybe there's a lot of things I'm not there do consider, all right, and hear me right, sex is not everything for us.
Yes.
But it's most.
It's more.
All right.
Yes.
It takes most majority.
And you're not just saying this as a husband, but as a medical profession.
As a medical profession.
Come on now.
So
Come on
with
now.
this, so there's a time I tell my wife, I said, if I'm shy sound, if you're not giving me some,
Yeah.
I'm a different person at work.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting responsibility on
That's
you.
true, bro.
You have closed the door that can open up.
Yeah.
And I would tell her that if you gave me a morning round, I'm telling you at work, I'll sit and I'll explain, I'll break down things, I'll give examples, I'll give them links and do that. If you don't give me some, I'm still a good medical profession, but there's no links. Because why? I'm restricted.
If we don't have a morning round, somebody might die today.
That's true. And that's what I'm saying with you. We are linked with our people. So I always tell us that don't restrict me.
Sure.
And I have much more patience in this. Yeah. So therefore, if you want to push, and I'm giving you a scope, ladies. Sure. If you want to push boundaries, maybe you're going to ask something out of the norm. Maybe you'd want to go on a holiday with your friends. You want your husband to fund it. Yeah. Give him endless rounds. Trust me. And when he's high up there, bring it on the table. Yeah. Trust me. Our probability of saying no.
My credit card now.
Everything. And it's so easy as that. And I said, if they can just get it right in that way, and it just helps us in a way. Yeah. Whereas with the woman, it's more emotionally, so it goes back in, pouring in.
Yes.
Because for us, it's just, you can even see with my walk. And there's a different walk. I have an extra bounce on a walk just because my wife gave me sex. Yeah. And it's the same person that I'll have sex with my entire life.
For the rest of your life.
And I told her, I'm like, you know what? And also, I would tell her, she would ask me, what is it that you like? And I'm like, this is nice. Because now we always ask them, what works for you? What do you like? But we also forget to be catered for. Sure. So cater to us as well. It's like, I like being held like this. I like this position. I like it when you hold it like this. Be detailed. So I'm taking out the details. I don't know how I can.
That's good, bro.
So when you tell
some
her,
people here.
So when you tell her, look, I know it works for you, but it might not work for me. Sure. And also sessions, make it about, this is your session, this is my session, this is our session. If it's your session, be selfish and tell her, you are here for me. And because I initiated it, you're not there. So therefore, please do it. Yeah. And it's the same with her. She would tell me, please, it's my session. All right, I know you like certain position. It's mine. All right, cater. And tell me how to touch me. So it opens up a lot of doors that we have restricted, where you lie down and then you do that same position, just missionary. And I'm like, man, surely.
So figure in 6 years. So.
And now and have sex. I'm like, I'm gonna get the same position. I'm gonna get the same climax. Maybe not. Even with the ladies, they think about those things. Sure. So we are afraid to speak. Sure. To close off as well as that. There was a couple where a lady was stressed and from work. All right. And then I called her husband in. That's when I had my round. So I had good sex that morning. So that's why I poured out.
So you were creative enough.
I was creative. And it came from God. I said, call the husband in. And I said, how often do you have sex? And then I could tell, the number's not good. And then after that,
what is the number, by the way? In a week?
It just depends. For me, it's not a fixed number. It's about, if I'd have one round and corner conditions and life happens, let it be worth it. Let it be, and it's not supposed to be, hey, wow, even if a quickie, but let it be worthwhile. Sure. So worthwhile, it talks about what you actually expect, the quality in this sex that you're going to encounter. So now I could tell that it's, for me, at that time I knew this was not enough for the guy. And I said to the lady, you're stressed. And God gave you a tool to de-stress, and they just got married and said, look, go to your husband, use him for sex. A guy was happy. He was like, use me. I said, and the lady was shocked. I said, yes, use him for sex so that you will feel good. Sure. And sex makes you feel good. And if it doesn't make you feel good, go back and talk to your husband. What is it that you are not reaching levels? Because there's levels to these things. Levels how you climax, levels how much you can climax. It's not just the ones of you've hit the road. We're still discovering levels, me and my wife. The other time I'm like, yo, can't do well. I'm doing. So those kind of conversations that you must have with your husband. So to close it off, not to be long, because I'm very passionate about sex.
Good. on that, give guys some tips of how to start the conversation.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of guys don't realize that part of your biggest sex organ is your brain,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Yes.
And it starts end here, so the fears of wanting to have sex, it's because you having chats in your own head. Maybe she doesn't like this, maybe she does like this,
That's true.
but you actually don't open your mouth and ask. you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
so what are some tips that you can encourage guys on to say, man, start a conversation like this, or maybe you know create an environment like this, and
Yeah. That's true.
where do you start? Do
That's
we
true.
start talking about my feelings? Do I start talking about the positions? Do I start talking? But I want to talk. I want this thing to be better, but I can't
Yeah.
open my mouth, man. I'm fearful
It's hard.
because this is weird,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
to how, like our earlier point in the conversation,
Yeah.
we didn't have fathers to walk us through that.
That's true.
You come to church, no, we don't talk about that. Don't talk about sex here, right?
Yeah.
And so then you like who's gonna teach me when I get into marriage how to just talk before we actually get into the action? How do I talk about sex with my wife?
Yeah. I think it would be unfair of me to say create environment, talk to her every day, because we try to give, we try to take those advice, but it's not a one size fits all.
Sure.
So now go back to the receiver. All right.
Mm.
Start a conversation of, you can even start it as easy as this, as saying, what do you like about our sex life?
Mm.
And it's an open-ended question. What do you like about the sex life?
Mm.
It's an open-ended, positive
Sure.
conversation starter,
Sure.
so that it will boost your confidence in how you continue with this conversation. All right.
That's great.
So now, if you say that, then he tells you, "Oh, I like it when you hold me like this." So when she says certain things that involves your name, and then when add on things that you think you might like. So now at least she's telling you what you should do. Add on what you think you should do. If it's not correct, she'll correct you then. So no one is hurt in this. So it's a conversation, all right?
Sure.
So now it tells you, okay, I like it when you hold me by my hip when you're doing. Can I go deeper with the dog style?
Go
And then
deeper,
when
Papa.
you squeeze me, when you squeeze my hips with your hands, I like that. And then you'd ask, oh, do you like it when I talk to you during sex? So you continue with that. So you stay more on the positives, all right? So you've gathered the information. Now you must find the don'ts. What is it that you think I can improve on, or we can improve on this? And then she'll tell you with this. But see, I don't like it whenever we sit long at my back. My back is sore, gives you a reason, and then find out why.
Sure.
Does she not like that?
Sure.
So that now you know when you do this, you don't go beyond an extra. And then also bring it back home, because she might not ask you, what do you think when you're yourself? So also saying, for me, I like this about our sexual life, but I also don't like this. So now she's getting information about you.
Sure.
And then also at the end and saying, look, with everything as being fair, what is your ideal sex life? And also, don't be shy. And then you'll see the creativity that comes in there.
Yeah.
If you can do that,
Sure.
take those things. That's a gold right there.
That's great.
That's how you start the conversation with it, and then continuing as well, and also understanding how she knows herself.
Yeah.
Sometimes she might not know herself, and how you can help her with that is that you tell her, Guti, this round it's an experimental round. So we have those ones saying this one we're experimenting. Let's see.
That's good.
Have a clear conversation, an open and honest one.
Sure. No, that's good, bro. Yeah, because I think that's really helping a lot of dudes, man. Because it's hard to broach the subject.
That's true.
It's hard to be vulnerable as a man, because the stigma is you're supposed to come in as a man and know how the female anatomy works. And I'm like, it's unfairly biology, what you mean? Now I need to know how your body works. I didn't even, I did history and business at school. So now magically as a man, I'm supposed to know.
That's the thing.
But, I think it's really helpful that we broach the subject and actually talk about these things.
That's true.
It really helps, man. So, I know there's a lot of dudes who are helped by this. Wives as well.
That's true.
Because some wives might be struggling with this as well. As you were starting off, just your advice and helping guys on how to approach the thing, and you said we must ask our wives open-ended questions. But you can ask an open-ended question, and then the wife says, "Hey, it's you again. Qalile ufuna ukukhuluma nge-sex." Right?
Yeah, yeah.
What? How could you help a guy at that point? So bahlala bamshaya isandla, and now he's trying,
Mm.
and he takes your advice, goes and says, "Ish, mama ekhaya, hlale phansi sikhulume."
How do you do it?
What do you think of? Uqalile wena nge-sex futhi.
Yeah,
Ayi.
true.
You know,
True. Yeah.
and then he everything shuts down. So
Yeah,
what would you say to the wife at that point? What would you say to him?
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. An overview answer is number one. You can have a conversation with your partner, and most of the time it doesn't work because if it was, I don't think it would have external people, friends and pastors and conferences.
Sure.
So
And
if that
podcasts.
fails, and podcasts as well. So if that fails, all right,
Yeah.
and use your wisdom. I'm saying wisdom because now
Sure.
you're sitting and you're watching this channel, and
Yeah.
and my wife now, I'm thinking about it. There's certain things that says, let's watch this. And I'm like, let's watch it. And then they would speak about the very same thing that she said in a different way. Then now I'm like, oh yeah, now I understand it. So someone else said it. Now I can't be biased because it's not my wife,
Yes.
but it's the same truth.
Sure.
So the principle here has been driven by someone else
Sure.
that you were rejecting about it.
Yeah.
And then if that gets rejected, conferences. All right. So try to do conferences. And if that does not work, all right. So for me, actually, the first one is just bring it to God. I said, God, this is my struggle.
Yeah.
And I'm trying my best. And I don't know why or how to navigate it.
Yeah.
But how do I help? How do you help me with this? So that's when you get the clear guidance from God. But for me, if it had to be a one-on-one conversation, is that I should qalile about this. And it also happened with me. I think the first few years of my marriage is that the thing that we were not lied about, that we were falsely convinced is that when you have sex, it's going to be passionate all over the place. The first time you're having sex, the first time it's painful for her.
Sure.
The first time she's not enjoying it. The first time she is really trying to go through this pain. But that's when you experience the love that you didn't think she will show you. All right. She shows you the love because she wants to have sex with you because to you love it, but she's in pain. But she's still staying with it and saying, continue, don't stop. So she continues to bleed because now the hymen is becoming stretched.
Yeah.
So when now as a man, you're feeling the warmth. The only warmth is just continue to push and be quick and thrust fast as you can. But you are actually hurting a woman.
Man.
So now you must bring the love in this the same way she's bringing the love in the bed. That's the first time you're having sex with your wife. So now the second time it happened. So for me, I think it happened 3 times. First time painful, second time painful, third time it was painful. And I asked myself, why does she still continues? And she's the one who says, come, let's initiate. For me, I was feeling pain for her. She said, no, come. Then I asked her, she said, look, I love you to the point that I know there's nicer things after this pain. So if she's willing to do that in the beginning, why stop?
That's just, that picture is a picture of what marriage is.
It is true.
Yeah,
She says it's painful, but it's good for you. But I know I'll be fine with time.
Sure.
So it continued like that. All right. So now bringing back home is that how do you have a conversation? For me, it's why is she irritable with this? Why she thinks I only want sex? Now it goes back to the mode of communication. When do you communicate and how do you communicate? And what do you want to achieve in this conversation?
Sure.
If you make it about her being a deficit. So as soon as you said, why don't you want to talk about sex? Because why? She's not giving you enough sex. For me, I saw the pain and the frustration that my wife displayed is that, remember, she likes, how do I put this? Not acing it. She wants to be excellent in everything. Now she sees that there is a deficit of not coming to the party because I'm always forever ready to have sex 80% of the time. And then she's not.
Sure.
Already by law, she put us at a disadvantage to have a fight. She's not wired like that.
Like that, man. Yeah.
But now we need to bridge the gap. She is frustrated about herself of not giving you sex. You're coming to him, to her, to have conversation about sex. It's like someone saying you failed this. Let's talk about it.
Ish.
Already she's not going to talk about
Yeah,
it. So find a
sure.
way that is not about
That's
her.
good. That's good.
Make sure that she is reassured and saying, look, I understand it. You might be frustrated about this, but how can we? So you change the word of you and I, but you change the we. How can we have sex?
Sure.
The way it's reasonable to us, the way it's fair about us. So if you bring the we, and even after you went on a conference, they should be having a conversation afterwards. What do you think of this? What do you think we can do about us having more sex frequent? And what is restricting? And then you think about it and said, now the lady's mind is always occupied. All right. When it's occupied, what is it that is always doing? What is it that you expecting her to cook, to clean, to do this thing? Now she must come and be a fried chicken always ready for you. Nah.
She needs to make fried chicken and beef fried chicken for you.
So it becomes unfair on the lady. So now it goes back. How can you protect her? How can you continue to love her in this? She would say, okay, baby, please drop off the kids. Please do this. Now you know when you do these things, she's not stressed. She does not have a lot in her plate. Now when you go back and saying, look, not that I'm saying I've done these things, therefore give me sex. You're saying, okay, the table is the plate is much more emptier. Then what's the challenge here? Another thing as well, just to close it off, is that my wife had a conversation about me, is that when she was celibate, she had a conversation and said, God, I don't want these desires to have sex. Help me to be pure. And it's easy for ladies to stay single and not have sex. So they took away those feelings. Problem is that they didn't ask those feelings back. And my wife said, I prayed to God a week before I got married. I said, God, bring those passion, those desires that I had, that was wild. Bring them back to me. And she didn't end there. She had to go to conferences. She had to talk to people so that she can meet me halfway. So she did her part. And for me, I need to acknowledge that and respect, and also to say thank you for that, because she didn't have to do it, but she did it because why? She knows that it makes me happy. It makes me to be a better clinician. So she's technically helping the community.
She's saving lives.
Yeah. You see? So it starts by small thing. Give your husband sex, she will change the world. So it starts home. But anyway,
true,
so yeah, I don't know if that can help. Man. So open conversation, and also try not to victimize anyone.
Don't do that.
Try not to. So do it together.
Sure, that's great, brother. I think you've given us quite a lot, man. You're feeding us. This is amazing.
Thank you.
There was to hit a hard transition, but there was an article 2022 in the Sowetan about you and your wife and the conversation you had around finances. And I thought that was like such an important conversation for couples to have. It's actually closely linked to sex, so I'm not jumping there randomly, because I think the biggest cause to divorces are uncommunicated expectations, but the presenting issues are sex and money. So I think couples get into marriage, they don't talk about things that they expect from the marriage. They don't talk about what they both expecting to bring, and then as you do marriage, things come up, and then your wife reacts to you in a certain way, you react to her in a certain way, something that either of you have done. And then when you actually sit down and talk about the thing, it's like, oh man, I didn't know that was an expectation, or I didn't know that you expected me to tell you about this thing, And then two big presenting issues that these uncommunicated expectations surface or show their heads isn't sex, so people are frustrated that you didn't tell me that you're looking after a family of 10 in Soweto. You didn't communicate that, but now I'm frustrated in the bedroom because we didn't talk about this thing, and so now sex life gets affected. I'm always thinking about the family of 10 I'm taking care of. She's angry that I didn't tell her about the family of 10, so then we get in the bedroom. I mean, isn't that shangan? Eventually we end up divorcing, but when we get to the divorce court, we write, no, sex was the issue. But meanwhile, underneath that was the fact that you didn't talk about these other things, Another big area is finances.
That's true.
So I want you to, kind of talk to us about that, because, when I read that article, it had said that, again, your sexy, strong, strict wife came in with a clear head when it comes to financial literacy, how to, handle money, compared to you, where, Mr. Chilled. That's true. You were like, I was told that, I quote, I was told to just go make money, but how to do with that money, I wasn't told. Right?
That's true.
So very hard conversation to bring up, just like the sex one. But finances, I think, man, hits harder. It's hard to bring that up because you're exposed.
Sure.
You have to one now expose how you were raised with a lack of financial literacy. How expose your family, whether you did have money or had bad money habits. But then it also just exposes, especially as a man,
That's
like a
true.
deep part of who you are. You
That's
know, you
true.
come in saying, I need to create this environment.
Yeah.
But man, you can't even save 10 rand. Like, so
Eish.
from Gustela when I'm manje.
Hey,
Yeah, you the head when
there's no savings.
you're taking this family somewhere, but you can't even handle
That's true.
$5,
Yeah.
How did you guys have that conversation? Why is it important? What were some of the fights that you guys had
Yeah.
around that area? How have you resolved them? I mean, that article came out in 2022. So I was like, man, at least do net degree, man. 3 years of practicing this thing, and maybe
That's
more
true,
because you've been
that's
married
true.
for 6.
That's
But
true.
I'm like, man, you have a master's or a degree at least in this.
That's true. Yeah. I think first thing first, I have to say I respect you and thank you
Yeah.
for your spirit of excellency. I love
Thanks, brother.
excellency
Thanks,
and how
man.
you do things. I see how you research and into the details of it. Right?
Thanks, brother.
Not everyone does that. And
you.
you could see my eyes were warming up when you said that.
Yeah.
And it's not one point, which
Sure.
means you did your research, which means
Thanks,
I
brother.
pray God that God continue to use you because we need people to carry excellency where we are because
Sure.
it makes us to do better. Because I'm sitting here, I'm like, what is it that I can do better? Because I'm listening to you. You're in your gate, you possessed your gate, and you're not
Sure.
just sitting and doing it, you're
Sure.
doing it with excellency.
Thanks, brother.
So coming back to your question is that
Appreciate you, man.
for me, it's what God guided me to marry a specific lady. My background is that no one taught me, as the article says, no one taught me about money. I was told that you must have something. All right. The painful thing about this is that now the society has made it a norm that is a norm, but it's very abnormal now.
Sure.
Where there's so much pressure to a man to provide. I won't lie to you, there has to be a provision that comes from a man.
Yeah.
And I saw it with my father where he was retired when my mother was still working. I could see that he is broken because he's not bringing anything to the table.
Sure.
And it doesn't have to be financially, but at least some sort of guidance, some sort of contribution to it. All right.
Yeah.
I'm specific in saying contribution because some men, they are not fortunate enough to be working or to match their level of contribution in money with their wife. All right. So I didn't have anything about that. Where else? Back at the ranch with my wife, she comes from a family that has a good stewardship in terms of money controlling. You see it how they do it with her own family. And the mother is involved. Her mother can say, okay, this is 100 rand. 10 rand is for this, 10 rand is for that. And she allowed me to be in a family space because she's a wise woman to see how things are done.
Sure.
And then if she comes in and saying, look, let's do it the way I've been exposed to, I will not fight and be pride-minded. You cannot tell me as a man, because you're a woman, you must listen to me. But now she uses the exposure that she showed me. This is what was done at home.
Sure.
And she showed me as to they would manage to get this done, this in a short space of time. There was no struggle and everything else was done and sorted. Nothing was lacking.
Sure.
And to the point that there was even a surplus with that. Then I'm like, when she comes and wants to advise, all right. And also it takes maturity for women, because right now, money will say, yeah, if I'm going to earn maybe 150% more than you, therefore I can speak.
Yeah.
Yes, you can speak.
Sure.
But the problem about you leading where you're not supposed to lead is that it'll mess up your character. You're not wired the way we're wired. You know, we use logic. We can see beyond this. And it doesn't mean that if you're an accountant, therefore you should lead completely. My advice is that, yes, you can co-lead in a certain aspect.
Sure.
So I'm going to a point, how do they navigate? We said, what is your strong point?
Sure.
She said, my strong point is to delegate in terms of distributing the money, how we continue with it. And after the month has finished, by the way, we are due to have our AGM. We call it our AGM.
Come on now.
So in a year, so we sit down and saying, what have we achieved? What money are we going to bring? And this is what we want to do for the house. This is what to do for kids now. This is what to do for their career, so that it becomes not a shock, but a conversation that we had. So we have those ones.
Sure.
She came up with that idea, and then she
good,
said,
bro.
you know, I had someone saying they sit and have conversation about their finances at home. Let's do it. And I'm like, yeah, actually, it's good. It is a good idea. I don't want to have a big head. Therefore, no, it's a good idea, because now I see that she's expecting to go on a trip, is expecting to buy this, and so now I have an idea as to I am supposed to be wise in spending money in this way. So my point is that we knew who was good at a certain point.
Sure.
When I'm good in saving, I'm good in spending less.
Yeah.
And when I was spending less, I care.
Yeah.
So now I bring that aspect on the table.
Sure.
Then you have someone that is good in terms of delegating where does the money go. And it doesn't end there as well. It's that holding yourself accountable. You said you're going to buy electricity. You didn't buy electricity. Why is it finished?
Sure.
So you come back and saying, at the beginning of the month, you said you will do it, but why is it an issue now? And now when we talk, it goes back to the friendship. It goes back to how we communicate with each other, is that we do not attack each other. We talk about the money aspect, but we're not talking about who is having the money. And it's not your money, it's not my money, it's our family money. So, sorry, even if it happens that there were months where she had more than me. I never felt bad, because I was like, this is my money. I'm going to enjoy it. And I'm going to swipe and I want to pay. And you see it at the tills. They make you feel like, yo, your wife is paying. And I'm the one, I'm like, oh, hold on, I'm going to get more chips. Hold the line and do it, because while we spoke about it, but the society is making you to feel bad, because why? She's paying. And then they don't know that you guys had a conversation. They didn't know how the finances were prior before. So it doesn't have to be about money for you to be a man. It talks about how you control it, how you manage it, and how you have a conversation, and a constant conversation. And it starts with you again. Is that my closing point? It starts with you. Is that for me, when I said I'm going to date her, God said, show her your bank statement. And I was like, oh, this is new. But I've learned not to say no, because if I say no, it's going to disadvantage me. I can't disadvantage in finances. So I said, I showed her. And she was touched. And she, even today, she says, you know, what made me to have confirmation that I might have a good relationship or marriage. I put might, because things change along the line. Is that because you're transparent. And when I'm sitting at my consulting room, some men, they said, my wife does not know my payslip. My wife does not know my bank statement for over a year or so, or 5 years or 10 years I've been with my wife. Even with those AGMs, I print out, I showed her, this is the money, this is where it went, this is where, so that you don't create a space of secrecy. Because everything else is out there now. So,
it has to be, man.
So conversation, who's good at what, and also you allow that person to take over, and also even if you're strong at that point, all right, strong-willed, but also get second opinion and saying, what do you think of this? I'm going to do this. And if you said it's a yes, it doesn't have to be all the time, come back to me, it's a yes, it's a yes. That goes with trust. There's that I trust my wife to do it. Typical example, she called me, she says, hey, we're going to get a couch at this color, whatnot. We did speak about getting a new couch. Right? This is recent. We did speak about getting a new couch. But she told me, said, yes, the couch I have purchased. I'm like, that's good. That's great. Didn't feel bad. And then in terms of the specifics, the colors and the materials, because she's in that industry, of built industry and space and home deco. So I trust her. So I said, that's fine. So now our trust has helped us to fast track things quicker than to say, you didn't tell me. You're fighting, therefore there's a delay in terms of processing in that purchase. So there's no delay, because there's trust in the beginning, and allow it to lead in that space.
Sure. That's great, bro. Man, that's really sobering, inspiring as well to hear. And I think it's such an encouraging thing. I always say that when we go through the process of marriage prep,
That's
you'll
true.
have a section where you speak about money.
Mm-mm-mm.
I mean, I'm like, take that as a springboard to actually foster a culture of regular check-ins when it comes to your money.
Mm-mm-mm.
You don't wanna just talk about money when things are bad, or you don't wanna
Mm-mm.
talk about money, only in the big moments.
That's true.
Because I'm like, it's in the day-to-day little spending habits
Mm.
that we either develop a personality that's going to be counterproductive, towards our finances as a family, as a couple, or we actually going to develop like a healthy
Yeah.
financial personality. So I'm
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
man, speak about these things, especially at the beginning.
It does help.
But most couples have the temptation of saying, ngikhola 10 randi manje, we don't have to speak about this thing. So when I get the big promotion, then we'll have the conversation about money. But I'm like, yo, you've developed so many habits of how you spend that 10 rand before you get that big promotion. So instead of waiting for the big promotion where you have 100,000 rand now, talk about your
The
10
small
rand.
things.
Yeah, how do we
that's
spend
good.
this money? Because then it will shape how you guys speak about money. So when
That's
the
true.
100,000 comes, it doesn't smack you in the face.
That's true.
Yeah, you guys know.
I
Yeah.
think it does help because it touches on the words that we use. We speak of the principle
Sure.
of how do you spend,
Sure.
and whole you being held accountable
Yeah.
to your salary. And people, they think, so now marriage, you're going to control me about my money. It's not about control per se, it's about transparent. So remember, my point was most people, they don't like this institution, or not most, some. They don't like it because of now you're going into details
Yep.
about it, and they don't want to share those things.
Sure.
So now always ask those people, is it a secret that you don't want to share with your wife that is exposing this? Because marriage exposes everything, whether you like it or not. And if it does expose something that you don't like, therefore you do not go back to what was exposed. You go back to the institution, what made it to be there.
Yes.
You got flu because you were outside. Now, therefore, you hate flu. You do not hate the rain. So that's what's happening in this. And now our anger, our dislike, it's also wrong.
Yeah.
Because now, therefore, if I go there, it's like someone saying, this person makes me feel uncomfortable. But it's not really the person. Maybe there's something that they said.
Yes.
But if you fix that, it becomes easier for you to say, I'm actually sitting here, the very same person that I'm uncomfortable with. Now I can face that person because I know it's not the person, it's about what the person said or did in the past.
Sure.
So institution about that, it exposes, especially finances.
Yeah.
It does. It does.
Another big thing when it comes to finances is, our dreams.
Yes.
So you in the medical field, your wife's profession is like the title is so fancy. Architectural technology.
Yes.
So fancy.
Yes.
When I was like, man, I want to call myself that. What do you do? I'm an architectural technologist. Right? Anyway, but she runs a YouTube channel.
Yes.
And that's like, where her passion is. Speaking of finances, how do you support as a husband? How do you support that passion? Obviously, that passion requires cameras, requires microphones, lights.
Yeah.
So it's it's not just getting your cell phone. You can, please you can't get your cell phone and shoot stuff, right? But clearly she's passionate about that thing and she wants to grow it and build it, and she's done very well for herself.
Yeah.
How do you support that? So speak about springboarding from our chat on finances. How do you guys have the financial chat about now you're gonna go do this thing and we're gonna support you? But also just the conversation around supporting your wife's dreams, because there's a lot of wives who just feel like as soon as I got into marriage, man, I left my dreams at the door. This guy just told us we're going to do whatever he wants to do. And anything I wanted to do and whatever God has deposited in me, we have to leave that at the door, and I'm like, I think the husband is supposed to be the head who's supposed to give a vision. But I believe part of what that vision looks like for the husband is incorporating whatever, God has deposited in the wife. Let that be a catalyst to this big family vision that you guys are coming up with, So I don't think that we should leave either of our dreams at the door. We bring them in and we see together what God wants to form and shape.
That's true.
With that. So how did that work for you? How do you continue supporting her?
Yeah.
Yeah, you support her as well by showing up on the channel,
Yeah.
which most husbands
Yeah, I
would
think
not do.
it's true. It's
So,
true.
yeah. So finances on that, and then more into how
That's
you
true.
support her. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes back to the the priority of my life and her life.
Mhm.
Number one, it's God.
Sure.
All right, and
Sure.
she is number two,
Mm.
and also with her.
Mm.
So this we had to speak about it in the beginning.
Mm.
My point here is that if God has called you
Mhm.
to instill, how do I put this?
Mhm.
Inspiration
Sure.
from her side and
Sure.
to lead, because her vision and her purpose, it changes as it continues to move. And for me, it's been straight.
Sure.
Right, it's in the medical field,
Yeah.
and in leadership in medical field,
Sure.
but it opens up more and more. It adds
Sure.
on.
Yeah.
So my point here is that if you get married,
Mhm.
which is me and her, which is second in line, then I tell her not to follow her dreams. You've already violated that priority
Come on,
that we already set way before.
Come on,
So
man.
if you do that, it's not just an unfair. You are messing people's, I don't know, inspiration. Imagine if there was no Blaque Makhubo at all.
Yep.
She's not doing her stuff. Many people will get touched, even at work. And I'm sitting, okay, how can I help you? Oh, no, your wife will help me with this. I'm like, for me, it's quite inspiring because I yielded to that before I even said yes to do life with her.
Sure.
So if you do that, it's not about you being selfish. It's about you restricting what the world needs. Now, we always talk about the world is messed up. The world is doing this. There are people that are raised up to do those things, people that are raised up to possess their gates. So if you can tell, most of my conversation is driven by possessing your gate and also your purpose. So now, if I'm sitting here, I'm saying my purpose is to do this, then I don't allow my wife. I'm a hypocrite. And that's a heavy weight of saying, therefore, it can be done for me, but it cannot be done to her. So bringing back the finances is that she does not do technology, my term.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. It sounds bad. I haven't said it in a long way. So
her career.
Her career, yes.
So
she's not.
It's too fancy, that thing.
It is, because when she told me, and I was like, technological architect. Yes, that's the one.
This one is not in the LO class. This one. You don't find it in the guidance class. This one.
She's not practicing that. She stopped completely.
Sure.
And I was not shocked. And I asked her why.
Yeah.
She said, I feel like God has called me to do certain things in creativity. Creativity has always been the core.
Wow.
So her not knowing how God wants to lead her, that career, it allows her to be creative in a very interesting way that Nama was shocked. So she can render and do a lot of things. Like her family home, she designed a family home.
Wow.
And then they built from her own plan. So she's actually quite good. But I was touched. I'm like, but now, which means there's no stability in the finance that is coming in. And then God spoke to me and said, remember, I told you about my daughter. She's called to do different things. So remember that. So when she told me this, I said, I support you. She was shocked that I could say, look, she's living. She said, I'm living my job.
Sure.
And then there was a fear, but there was also hope in me saying, look, God will provide. And then after this, then she went into being a content creator. And I saw how God will open doors that we didn't think it would be open. So now how the finance comes in is that on my side, we spoke about, look, when this happens, yes, we are spiritual beings. We don't want to be airy-fairy. God will provide. But we need to sit down and be realistic and be wise. Yes, that's the right way. Be wise. As that, from my side, it will speak of stability and the core, expenses that needs to be sorted out. Let it lie with me. But the other ones that I know we can be flexible about it, it will lie with her. So that she will continue to have finances for her career, for her purpose, for her function. Now, there's a time when she told me she needs to buy lights. And then I thought, okay, maybe 2,000. I'm like, when she told me the price, and I'm like,
that's why I'm laughing.
I don't like 2,000 now. You can buy, it's fine. And then she told me, and I was like, and then she said, now I want sets of lights, and I want to buy a camera. And then God says, remember in this. And then she said, look, her stewardship, her strictness, her strong will to steward her money. She says, I can have gigs for 6 months. It'll pay
Mm.
this
Your
off.
stuff off, yeah.
As long as the core for expenses, you will settle them on your side.
Sure.
She tells me that plan. And then after that plan, she says, are you comfortable with it? That's the key word.
Yeah.
And then I said, it makes sense on paper.
Yeah.
And also, I'm talking to my friend that wants to build a career.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to someone that I need to support in this.
Sure.
Says it will be a bit hard in the first month, but we will figure it out. We're both in this. And then I said, let's go ahead, do it. So now to the point that when she buys things, she tells me, I'm actually thinking of buying this.
Sure.
What do you think of it? And then now she's wise. When she shows me with the price. Says, this is a price. And then I'm saying it's okay.
Sure.
Go forward with it.
Sure.
So to bring it back home is that for me, I don't see her as my wife only. I cannot be selfish. I'm second in what she's been called to do in this world.
Sure.
So now if I'm restricting her finance to invest in what she's been called to do, therefore I'm violating a big principle that is beyond me.
Yeah.
Now I must answer to God, because God said, I've been giving you blueprints and secrets about my wife. You use those things against her. How dare you? You are not called to do these things. You can't do what she can do. So therefore, sit in your corner, allow her to do these things. That's a conversation that God will have with me. And that's why I can't fight it. And also there's so much grace in it. Because sometimes we'd be sitting, she just takes out the camera and starts to record. At first, I'm like, I'm a private person. I'm like, what are you doing? And then God said, don't ask those things. Like now, this morning, you had to take the child for immunization. Sitting, we're waiting in line, just pops out the camera. And I'm like, yeah, actually, this is authentic. Because she says she wants to be authentic. And I say it as well. And she carries the spirit of excellency. For me, if you carry that, it's an extra love to you, even if I don't know you. And for me to give people money outside, it's not that we have to work hard for it. For you to actually to say, look, your sign, man, let it be presentable, find money for this. And then there's a time I said, you know what? Because you can see you took time to make this board, I'll give you more than what you actually asked for. That person was shocked. Because why I honor and I respect excellency. Well, so now, when she comes and tells me, Guta, I want to get a light, she is adding on the spirit of excellency. And if something is not good enough, she doesn't do it. She might delay. She won't cancel it completely. She might delay and saying, look, I'm actually missing a certain type of camera. And then now I'm sitting here with all the money in myself. I'm like, you can't buy it. So it goes back to allowing her to steward her career in where she needs to go and in where she needs to be seen as well. And I don't have control over that, even her. Because there's a time I said, do you think you will have a conference this year? You know what she said? She said, I do not know. But I know God will tell me. And I was sitting, I'm looking, and I know when she starts writing. That's how she is. Just random and watching a movie. Yesterday at 4:00, she starts writing. And I'm like, okay, now I know. It's going to be something. And now God allows me to see these things so that I'll be prepared. Because when she tells me that I want to do this, my heart is already prepared. So God is the clue in all of this, if I have to put it. If it wasn't for God,
praise him, man.
Fighting and doing all those funny stuff. So yeah, I don't know if I did answer.
No, that's good, bro. Yeah, that's good, man. It's encouraging, and I think it's such a encouraging on both ends, you know, for the husband, for the wives as well, because I think, husbands either feel so disempowered that they just then, don't even critically think about what it would look like for them to support their wife's dreams, and therefore they don't support them, or because they have their own insecurities, and then they suffocate and stifle their wives' dreams. And then we've had a lot of wives who are in our comment sections of this podcast just being like, man, my husband doesn't support me, my husband would not support my dream, or I left my marriage because my dreams were getting crushed. So I was like, man, this is a epidemic. It's a terrible thing. Dreams are so intimate to who we are as people. And God gives us dreams so that we can actually see how we can make the world better.
That's true.
And if those things die in us, then the world around us doesn't become better, and we then suffocate and die ourselves. So I'm like, man, we such big dreamers.
That's true.
as well, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Hence, that's why they'd say it's you are a leader and
Yeah.
in your home.
yeah,
And you can lead to make sure that your career, your purpose, it's the only one that is important. Or you can make her also to be equally important,
Yes.
which is she is equally important in
She
the
is.
eyes of God, because
Yeah.
it's not based on gender, it's based
Come on,
on
bro.
who called you.
Yep.
And if you called by God,
Yep.
and when
Yep.
God with a small letter G,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're
pal.
telling,
Yeah.
I just don't understand it. I don't think for me I would sleep gash at night. I can't. I
yeah.
can't. I must allow her to be
Sure.
who she is and what she
Sure.
calls to be.
Yeah.
So yeah.
No, that's great, bro. Maybe we could end it here.
I can't believe 2 hours passed. As in the time as well. You see what I'm talking about? This is the excellence.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I won't lie to you.
No, thanks, brother. You have 2 kids now.
Yeah, I have,
Boy and a
I've
girl.
2 kids.
And yeah, you definitely want more.
It's-
Or is it a desire for you? And the factory has said, we're done with production.
So it's actually the opposite.
Okay.
Where my wife actually spoke about it out there. She says she
Sure.
desired to have more. She even posted. She said desire to have more.
Sure.
And then she came to me and said, look,
Yeah.
what do you think of this?
Yeah.
So my wife does not ask because of fun. She's just testing the water.
Yeah.
And then, but before that, there was peace from God. And I said, I know how you work. You want me to be at ease because there's a way or there's a desire. So right now it's in that stage where we both know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
We definitely know, and you can see in her eyes, she just have peace, man.
Sure.
Because I'm led by God.
Yeah.
And there's certain things that she wouldn't fight me with. She said, God, whenever we'd fight, whenever I have issues where she can't go through me, she just said, God, you know your son, deal with him. Same with me. I said, God, I tried. Deal with her.
Yeah.
If it's selfish, if it's going to be one-sided, it's not going to land on her. And then that's when you know God tells you, nah. So sorry to cut you.
Yeah.
Yes,
No.
2 kids with desire.
That's good.
So currently I'm enjoying my 2 kids. I'm bringing them back home. You know why? The same thing that made me to overthink and worry. It's the same reason why we delayed in terms of getting married at that time. So I'm trying not to be stubborn in what I'm seeing and what the world is expecting us to have, for you to have 3 kids.
Sure.
Whether we like it, people will speak. And I don't listen to them. But they'll say, having that child. Why didn't they have 1, 2, 3? Also, you think about those things as a husband and saying, for me to be financially stable, because also she brings ideas, she brings desires where she wants to go on a trip, where she wants to, and not just once a year, but there's a frequency in it.
Sure.
So now, I'm using my logic. You want to have a trip, international trip 4 times a year.
Yeah.
There's a child now.
Sure.
And then there's a career that you need to build, and also equipment needs to be bought. Make it make sense. How? That's what I think in my mind.
Sure.
But I can't bring her in that level. It's not a condescending statement, but she sees it for what she has and what she's feeling at that time. Because I even said to her, but did you think about it? She says, no, I don't want to think about it. You will think about it. I mean, I'm telling you about this now. Why can't you get this? And I'm like, oh, okay, now I understand in this. So I can't expect her to see it in that bigger picture as it is. Hence, that's why it speaks about who is strong in this. Because for me, an overview, that's why when I answer, I'd give you an overview, then break it down as well. This is how I see it. This is what we will do.
Sure.
So yeah, 2 kids I'm enjoying right now.
So your desire for twins, is that done?
I love that. I think it's a new thing that you don't pick up. Well, I don't know why. I still have a desire for twins.
Twins,
even with our last son, last born son now. I was excited. I wanted twins. And the strange thing, I did the sauna and I'm like, and she said, what's wrong? I'm like, no, nothing is wrong. That's just it's one baby. I'm like, for real. So that's the beauty of what I do. I enjoyed that. But if it had to be with twins now, I would be happy. I wouldn't think about all those things that I told you about. So I'm not saying God give me twins, but if it's there, let it come to me. So beauty about twins is that you just 2 birds with 1 stone, you're done, you sorted.
Sure.
And it goes back to what we spoke about in the beginning. How many kids you'd love to have?
Sure.
I said 3. I mean, I said
Sure.
4. She said also 4 or 5.
Yeah.
But we didn't know what it takes to have
To have
kids
one.
and to have one to do it right and also to be there, to be
Yeah.
present as well.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's not about the finances.
Yep.
It's about the present. So remember,
Yep.
I'm trying to change my lineage where I come
Sure.
from. I want to be present.
Yep.
I want to have a conversation with my daughter. So I love my daughter to the point that when I'd have conversations in the car, so I always drop her off at school. So I told myself that I'll give her the core memory about me, whatever happens, even if
Sure.
maybe something happens to me about how I do my life, how I do things.
Mm.
That's the core memory that no one can change.
Sure.
So I have intelligent conversation with her because she's quite intelligent.
Yeah.
And then I teach her certain things. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is actually what I love. And,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it touches me.
Yeah.
So to have another daughter, I wouldn't mind it.
That's good,
I
man.
wouldn't mind it.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
to my wife, you know, everything works in its own time. But yeah.
I drop my kid off at school.
Yeah.
Well, me and my wife
Yes.
drop her off, but then I take her to class.
Yeah.
And then we have a routine. So we go to her class, drop her bag off, and then she goes to the field. So I walk her to the field, you know.
That's lovely.
And then we have conversations. So in fact, this morning when I dropped her off, she got out of the car and then she started walking fast. I was like, hey, where you going? So now it turns out like she sees all the other kids whose parents dropped them off in the parking lot and they don't walk with them. So now she's feeling like she's uncool.
Oh, yeah.
You know, that her father drops her off. She wants to be like the other kids. She's in grade 1, but now she wants to be independent, you know, and walk alone. And I said to her, listen, I'm walking with you till you finish your degree. I will walk you to class.
That's a lovely thing.
Even in matric, I'm going to walk you to class.
That's
I'm going to walk you to the field. When you go to varsity first year, I'll walk you to class. I'll walk you to the field until you're done with your degree. I'm going to walk. I might even be walking you to your job the first day. I'm going to walk you to the office. Yeah.
That's beautiful because also we're walking them down the aisle. So
exactly. You know, so I'm like, man, that desire for presence.
No, it is true.
You know, and forming those core memories, man. It's not in the big moments. They'll remember the drive to school. They'll remember, you know, the walk to class. They'll remember the homeworks. They'll remember, you know, waking up Sunday, going to church. They'll remember those things. But if you think that presence is just reserved for the big moments, man, you're gonna miss out on
small
a lot
things.
of you know.
Yeah, no, definitely small things.
Kevin Makhubo.
Yeah, no, thank you,
brother,
thank you, sir. Thank you.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you for pulling through. Thank you for your willingness.
Yeah, no, thank you.
To want to come, inspire husbands, inspire us. You know, and share such an intimate part of who you are. And thanks to Bully as well for you know, allowing you to pull through. This is her story as much as it's yours. So thank you to her. Please send our thank yous and our regards. We truly appreciate that, man.
I think from my side, I said I won't do it, but I do.
Yeah.
To say thank you for my wife for being who she is.
Sure.
And what she sees me for, who I am, but not limited to that, but who I can be.
Come on.
And how she allows me to grow in the space. Typical example, I'll be away for 2 weeks. She could have said, nah, don't study, but she knows that I'm passionate about that. So I just want to say thank you to her and thank you to your channel. All right. Thank you to what you're doing to this nation. Thank you to what you are helping us with. And thank you with your spirit of excellency. For me, that's the highlight of today.
Sure.
You do not do things because you're just doing it. You take your time in how you do things. Everything else is to the T. And I love that.
Thanks,
and
brother.
I pray that God will continue to bless you. Not only bless you, but the work of your hands that goes beyond you. So thank you to this channel and subscribe, please.
Let's do
it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you.
On that note, man, we're going to close this. Thank you so much for watching. We hope that you are really blessed. We hope that you really found some encouragement, practical tips. You know, go have those conversations, start implementing some of the things that came out from this conversation. We want to become better husbands who know better, right? And not just stay there, but actually implement all of these things. We want to fail forward and not just fail and stay where we are, but we really want to grow. So please do share this with other people. If you're watching this, man, go find your spouse, watch it with them. I think it would be dope for you guys to do so together. Don't forget to subscribe. As Mr. Makhubo has said, hit the notification bell so that you're updated on every single episode we drop every Wednesday at 11:30 right here on That Husband Podcast. You've probably seen it, but if you've forgotten, we having our first live gathering called Beans and Bonds on the 1st of March. So please pull through. It's going to be amazing. Free entry. Just make sure that you book your space with the link in the comment section and make sure that you come. It's limited to only 200 people. So pull through for that. We want to make it big enough so that everyone can come, but also small enough that it's intimate, so that we can connect truly, right? So please do take note of that. For me, the team here at That Husband Podcast, we'll see you next week Wednesday, right? Peace.